kind of a sidebar. This is probably the worst reviewed game that we've covered in Good Games.
Really?
Absolute dunks on this video game across the internet,
Oh,
David.
no. Really?
Holy shit. Yeah. We've entered our 60s, David.
Oh, damn. It's all downhill from here.
It's all downhill from here.
All downhill.
Now, this is just a little peek behind the curtain for all the real fans out there, all the real podheads. I separate my file structure into increments of 20, so it doesn't take that long to like shove files into a folder. So it's episode 1 through 20, 21 through 40, 41 through 60. And now we are on 61 to 80. And I feel a very threatening aura about one of the episodes in this lineup.
Threatening aura?
A very threatening aura about an episode, what will be 8 episodes from now.
Oh. Is this like a Dio level aura?
I feel the pressure of podcasting giants on our backs, David.
Like who? Who had a memorable 69th episode? Is that what you're talking about?
That is what I'm referring to. What do we do for the sex number episode? I don't know.
The sex number episode. I mean, that's definitely going to have to be the name, isn't it? The sex number episode?
I think so. I don't know what else it would be.
Just a deep dive into the history of Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh my God. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I mentally can.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is what I mean. There's a threatening aura about it. Because I don't just want to do a normal podcast. It demands attention and
it has to be an abnormal podcast.
Yeah, a little bit. Do we just play a bunch of dating simulators? I mean, that's much better than Leisure Suit Larry. There's a lot of shit that is not tight in Leisure Suit Larry. So anyway, send in your best dating simulators and we'll try and play those, I guess.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know if you got a good one.
If you got a real top hit, a real good one, a real banger, if you know what I mean.
Oh, no.
Come on.
Oh, no.
That was worth a giggle. Something?
Is this preemptive 69th episode energy? Is that why it's a threatening aura? A threatening presence?
I have to gear up. This is not my normal modus operandi, so I have to really like get moving and grooving on this before we get there.
Yeah, you're getting you're wetting your whistle a little bit.
The implication.
Yeah, getting your chops loose, as they say.
Chops loose is a little bit easier for me to be okay with than wetting my whistle.
Wetting your whistle is worse than chops loose?
Chops loose doesn't feel, again, not quite as threatening, not quite as blue. David.
Hey.
I looked it up, it's a thing.
Chase is right. Blue is a thing. Chase is vindicated.
Thank you, everyone,
for
your words of support.
What a guy.
Speaking of blue, hey, it's Video Game Podtimism. It is the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming, and my name is Chase.
And my name is David.
And we're here, and we're best friends, and we're talking about video games.
We sure are.
So happy to be here. Love this podcast. It's fun.
What a day. What a great
time.
What a day.
Look at us. David, have you been playing video games?
Did we say look at us at the same time?
It wasn't on my end, but I bet it was on yours.
It sounded pretty close.
I'll line it up in ours and then put some like nice music behind it. So it sounds
put some
like
Paul Rudd in there.
I'll also put Paul Rudd behind us. Have you been playing those video games?
I've been playing video game, Chase. I'm a dirty Hades boy, and that's it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Bring it on. Tell me about it.
I beat it. I guess I rolled credits. I'm not done. I sense that there is still much more to do and to see.
Yep, that's probably true.
So I don't feel like this story ends that nicely. There's got to be some more strife in there.
I think there's like, that is sort of the canonical ending, what you got to. Like if you ended there, that's kind of a clean end to the narrative, but there's still a lot of stuff to sort of like explore and see like the family dynamic, as it were.
Yeah, there's more hidden aspects to unlock.
Yeah.
I got to figure out what Skelly is keeping underneath those curtains, those sheets.
You might want to look that up. It's a little bit underwhelming.
Bummer.
Yeah. So like if you really struggle for it and then get there and you're like, oh, that's
because you really got to turn the heat up.
Yeah, no, it's intense. So maybe just check to see what the first one is and see if that's something you're interested in like grinding for.
Okay.
Because yeah, it's one of the it is a rare spot in an otherwise totally rewarding game where like it might not necessarily be something you need to go
worth
do.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good looking out.
Pro tip, gamer tip. What was the thing we were doing a while ago? Real gamer facts, when we talked about like positive affirmations and shit.
Oh yeah, gamer facts.
Gamer facts, yeah. Gamer facts might not be worth it to get that.
I have been warned.
Sure.
Yeah, so Hades, excellent. Chef's kiss, 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Great game. Even if you don't like roguelikes, play this game. It's very good. And then Rocket League. So
you're back at it.
I'm ready to branch out this coming week into some new games.
What did you think about like the story of Hades overall? Like how did that wrap up for you?
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything like groundbreaking.
Sure.
But it was interesting enough to keep me going through each playthrough to see how things played out. Really, the thing that makes the story enjoyable is the voice acting, I think, because people really kind of bring their A game for all of it. Yeah, the story was, probably not the strongest part of the game, but
sure,
good enough to keep me going. Really, it's like the character dynamics that keep you going as opposed to just like the story of what's going to happen here.
Yeah, the plot isn't necessarily the thing keeping you there, but rather like the writing and the people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree that like the method in which the story plays out and like how literally the words that are said, I think are more interesting than like what's up with Hades or what's up with your mom or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So versus like the interactions between different people and the different characters and like how that occurs on like a run to run basis.
Like how is this person going to react to me giving them a nectar?
Yeah,
2
exactly.
nectars,
like,
3 nectars, what happens?
Or like being beaten by Megara and her coming and kind of talking shit on you the next time you run into her or like any of that stuff.
She has such a good mean girl voice.
Absolutely, yeah, it's very good.
There's something about just the way she ends some of her words with just kind of like this disgust, like kind of noise. I'm like, damn, that's a good mean girl voice.
I know, it's really good. Again, all the voice actors and actresses did great in the game. They all really sold whatever role they were in. Good game. Good video game.
Play it if you haven't. It's a good one.
Yeah, for real. Any other sort of final thoughts? I imagine this is maybe the last time we talk about Hades with you.
It's just a great mixture of different inputs to make each run through feel different, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the keepsake, depending on the weapon, the aspect of the weapon, the boons you get, the other upgrades you get. It's just I've been through 40 run throughs and each one played differently.
Yeah, that's true.
And interacted with the game differently. So that's really impressive that they were able to do that. And also, sometimes if games do just totally random boons, it just gets for some reason stuck with the same ones over and over again.
Yeah.
But you get to choose from a lot of different things that really make it feel fresh each time.
Yeah.
Really great. Keeps you going. And it's so good on handheld mode. It's so
Switch
good
is
on
unreal.
Handheld mode. My God. It's like the perfect handheld mode game.
Yeah. I'm playing a lot of Returnal right now, and it's pretty interesting seeing sort of the comparisons between those two games because they do share a fair amount of like structure and how their narrative plays out as far as like being tied very directly to being a roguelike. I think especially with the game balance stuff, I think Hades really benefited from being in early access. Like a game, I've played a lot of games that are in early access that are, it seems like maybe it's an excuse to just sort of like get free bug tests out of players or like, or alternatively ones that's like, well, this is pretty much a done game at this point. Like why are we in early access here? Is this just sort of an excuse for something else? But I think Hades did a really good job with it because they went into early access at a point where it felt like they essentially just needed to tune the numbers a little bit. And the balance of the game is just so good, where like you were saying, it feels like every run is like significant. Nothing ever feels like you're repeating yourself. Just all of that stuff has been so finely honed. And when I played it, I'd played it a little bit in early access, like back in the day. I think it was like free on the Epic Game Store or something for a second.
Oh, wow.
And so like I'd played it then. You only get up to Theseus in the version that I played. And I don't think the story was there as much, but the sheer difference in like just that version of the game versus like 1.0 is like a stark contrast. And I think something like Returnal probably could have benefited from like at least 6 months in early access, just on the
Sure.
balance side of things, because the game is there, right? Like the fun part of it is there. It's just like where Hades succeeds on the balance aspect of it, of feeling like the boons are always significant. You always feel like you're just on the cusp of being totally unbeatable.
Yeah.
And like all that sort of stuff, and like the way that the enemies sort of scale with you in a way that's satisfying. Returnal isn't quite there yet as far as like the balance goes. That's not to say it's bad at all. I think just like it goes to show that there is a way to do early access well, in a way that like really benefits the people who are going to play it eventually.
Yeah, I wish more games did it, but I understand why a big flagship Sony first-party title did not do early access. They try to make money off that baby. I don't think you make as much if you do early access, right?
I don't know. I guess there's an argument to be made for either one, because like I'd be willing to bet Hades sold a lot more than Returnal has. And I would suspect that is in no small part because the game itself is so good that like there are just so many people playing it that are like, holy shit, this is incredible, that it like boosted sales. I think it is sort of a hard metric to compare it against. Like not every game is going to be that good. And so I get why Sony would want to say like, hey, let's just put this game out rather than trying to put it in early access and kind of give away our hand or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, I think Supergiant did a really good call with putting it in early access. It's just such a phenomenal video game.
It's great. It's so good.
So yeah, anything else on Hades?
I don't think so. Except that I love Cerberus.
Absolutely. He's a good boy.
Just needs those satyr sacks. That's it.
I'm really glad that they didn't make you fight him.
I was so bummed. I was like, am I going to have to kill my dog? They're like, nah, he's your pet. He's a homie. Just feed him.
Yeah. Just give him some food. He'll be all right.
He's a good boy.
That's a good boy.
That's a good boy. All of a sudden, you just become Arthur Morgan. Get the boon of a good 6-shooter.
The boon of the Wild West.
Go to chaos.
The boon of just one more mission, Dutch.
Chaos gives you the curse of cholera.
You get like a good...
I got the consumption.
You got a good motivation, but damn, cholera sucks. It will get you.
Yeah, but if you do well enough, you get to become, what was it, like a eagle? Was that the good one? And a coyote was the bad one? At the end of the game, they would show you like, or was a stag or something like that. I think was the good one.
Was this in Red Dead?
Yeah.
Was there a morality system in Red Dead? I just totally marking this out of my brain.
Yeah, dude.
I don't remember this at all.
That's totally part of it.
Oh my god, there were so many systems in this video game.
There were a lot of systems in that video game. But if you were like the good guy, at the end, it would, when he's like having his...
Yeah.
If you were a good guy, it would show, I think, a stag, And if you were bad, it would show a coyote. Yeah, it was a stag.
God, I don't remember this at all.
Probably you probably got the coyote.
The Yodi.
Or it's a wolf? Low honor. It's a coyote, not a wolf.
Nah, man, I was lots of honor Arthur Morgan. I was not playing that as a Wild West boy.
So you must have gotten the stag then.
I think so, but I don't remember this at all. Did we do an episode on Red Dead? Was that one of our test episodes?
It might have been one of our test episodes, I think.
I don't think we published that.
No, I don't think so.
Probably got it hidden away in some dark corner of some
dark corner of your hard drive. Arthur Morgan. That's my best Arthur Morgan impersonation.
I don't think he ever says his name, so I don't really know what that sounds like. That's a good girl.
It's just Dutch yelling, Arthur!
That's pretty good Dutch.
Stick to the plan, Arthur!
Pretty good. You can hear his mustache in the way that he talks.
He does. That's why he says Arthur, not Arthur, because he gets a little whisker stuck in his mouth when he says it. Arthur!
Dutch can't pronounce his T's. Too much stash.
Where'd Hosea go? That was the weirdest name.
I mean, Dutch is a pretty weird name, too. Sorry, all the Dutch and Hoseas that listen to this pod. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on blast like that.
All 0 of you, I'm assuming?
I don't know, man. Maybe there's one.
Garen goes by Dutch.
Dutch. Anyway, so there's all the video games you've been playing?
That's it.
Cool.
What about you? What have you been playing?
I've been playing video games, David.
How many? Can you tell me how many first?
4 video games.
All right, cool.
So, here is your weekly Returnal check-in.
Okay.
I am close to stopping playing Returnal.
Here's your check-in. I'm almost not going to play it anymore.
It has become so difficult to a point that is becoming less and less fun, I think.
Sure.
It's so hard to tune for difficulty, and I think, like, I don't know if I'm just not learning the lessons the game wants me to learn or what, but I am really getting beaten down in this video game.
Sure.
I've made it to, like, the 5th biome, I think. Once you get halfway through the game and you beat, like, the 3rd boss, you just restart in the 4th biome every time, which is, like, I won't spoil anything, but anyway, it's the 4th biome, and so I've gotten through there to the 5th one.
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to make it to the boss of that section at all.
Damn.
Like, just can't even get there. There's a handful of enemies that'll show up that, like, function to, like, sort of really get up close and personal with you. They have, like, swords and shit, so they'll try and get at you. And those guys just kick my ass every time I run into them. It'll put you in a room with, like, 2 or 3 of them, and it's just, I must be doing something wrong because I just get slashed and fucked up every single time. And, like, the game is such that I think this is kind of typical roguelike, but, like, they'll do a slash and it'll take away, like, half my health.
Damn.
And, like, the game definitely wants you to not get hit. Like, it encourages you to not get hit at all.
Mm-hmm.
You get these, like, adrenaline points for how many enemies you kill without being hit at all. And so, like, it's encouraging you, like, please just don't get struck. But yeah, it's pretty punishing whenever it slaps you upside the head. The story is really, like, pretty interesting, and I think what has spurred me into thinking that I might not want to continue playing it is just that I've been very tempted to just look at YouTube and be like, what happens?
Give me
in
the
this video
story.
game?
I don't want the game.
Kind of, yeah. Like, I've gotten to a point where I feel like I myself have hit my limit of what I feel like I can do in this, and beyond this point, I would have to, like, make this the game that I am playing.
Chase.
They have to go plus ultra?
Yes, Chase. That's exactly what I was going to say. You have to go plus ultra.
Yeah.
And this is what it looks like to go even further beyond. It's time to go SSJ3, Bubbity. Bubbity?
Bubbity.
Bubbity. That's your new name, is Bubbity.
Oh, God.
Bibbity Bubbity Boo. Bubbity is powerful.
It's definitely got some old ancient runes in there.
Yeah.
It feels good. So, yeah, I don't know if I will continue playing it. I don't know. I'm of two minds of it. I do want to keep doing it, but I just wish it was, like, one tick easier. It feels like much more punishing than Dark Souls can be. I think because, like, Dark Souls plays with this back and forth of, like, you'll get farther in a level, and, like, there's sort of this, like, risk reward of, like, man, I have a lot of souls and I'm pretty far, but, like, maybe I should just go take these and level up or something.
Yeah.
Or go increase my gear. But this one really doesn't. Like, if you get really far and get beat, like, sucks to suck is pretty much what the game says.
You're out, huh?
Yeah, like, you can get some items that, like, carry over from one run to the next, but they're not that significant. Like, they're not like the boons where you're like, oh damn, that's gonna change up my whole thing. It's like,
yeah,
you do like 5% more damage, or you get a little bit more health or something like that. So it's just kind of kicking my ass.
Dang.
So yeah,
Tough.
I think it is tough, and, like, I really don't want to, like, burn in this game. That's not my intention with bringing up that I might not continue, but just, like, I think the main point of it is, like, this is a pretty fucking difficult game, and I don't know if buyer beware is the right thing. I think I'm more just interested at coming at it from the perspective of, like, what does the tuning of this difficulty do for how this game is played, and, like, how the story is expressed, which is slowly. The story is being expressed slowly.
Do you feel like you're near the end at all?
I bet there is, in fact, I'm sure there is a 6th biome. I bet that boss from that area is the end of the game. So I don't think I'm too far. I bet that I could get to the 5th biome's boss, but I haven't fought that thing, so I don't know if it would kick my ass immediately or not.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like, again, if this was the only game I was playing, if this is literally the only thing I owned, I could probably get there. But, like, so they're video games, baby. I got stuff. I got video games I want to play.
I'm not a one game kind of guy.
No, man, I'm busy.
I'm busy. I feel you. I feel you. Do your thing.
So there's that. Also, the next game, it's called Resident Evil 8.
Still in the Resident Eve.
Yeah, played that. I started playing that in the last podcast. I've now beaten it. Not a particularly long game.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'm definitely on the side of, like, if you have 10 hours of game, please make 10 hours of game and not, like, 20 or 30.
Don't try to fill it.
No, like, I'm I get why people get upset about that of like, oh shit, I spent $60 on this. And like anybody has to make their own value proposition for like what game they want to spend their money on. But like, I really didn't have a problem with it being short. I think it sort of got in and got out and did what it wanted to do. So there's that. Let's see. So I am going to keep this non-spoilery because this is a super new game.
Godspeed.
It gets very action oriented towards the latter half of the game.
Classic Resident Evil.
I was gonna say that's pretty Resident Evil-y. Like the remakes that I played 2 and 3, I think it was earlier last year and then the year before that, like you're getting rocket launchers and shit by the end of those games. Like it's very typical that the end of the game is pretty bananas.
We scares you a lot, so here's your power fantasy, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And even in like I think Resident Evil 4 was more on the side of the shooting stuff than the horror stuff, but even still, like the end of that one was even nuttier.
Oh no, there were some pretty scary things in Resident Evil 4.
Definitely scary, but I think like it leaned a little bit more into like the action shooter than the spooky scary.
Very true.
But yeah, I think it's definitely in line with the other Resident Evils that have been scary for the first half and kind of more actiony towards the latter half. What else do I want to say about this game? Ethan Winters, still not my boy. Still not my favorite boy.
Just a basic guy, huh?
Just a pretty basic dude. The game really wants me to like him and really wants me to like treat him with a lot of like respect and reverence.
Really?
So yes, the scenes sometimes are played like, oh my God, Ethan Winters. And he's
is he like a known thing? He's like a cool guy or something?
I mean, not to me. I don't really think on the internet either. Like, it's not like people are like, oh, hell yeah, dude, fucking Ethan Winters, so cool. So
Such a boring
I don't
name
know.
Too.
Yeah. Anyway, I won't go too deep into it. If we want to talk about the story at some point, we can. But it was interesting enough, and I think like it delivered on the promise of a Resident Evil video game. Like I said, I think with 7 there was a little bit of depth that I found not really there.
Yeah.
And I think that does come in the form of like, I want to fight some zombies, or I want something to just kind of fill the palette between like big boss encounters. There's like a world for that kind of game, but like I think fighting the Baker family wasn't necessarily the Shadow of the Colossus of Resident Evil games. It didn't feel quite as satisfying as like, oops, all bosses.
Yeah.
But this one had a little bit more in between. And like I said last time, I think the 4 sections of the game that you're able to go to and fight these different like bosses and people allows for these pretty big tone switches that don't come off as like unearned or weird. Huh. It's able to turn from one kind of game into another kind of game very quickly, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. They're essentially like hour to 2 hour little vignettes of video games that, like, you know, the first one's kind of classic Resident Evil, and the second one's a little bit more like PT, and then the third one I guess is like kind of Resident Evil 4, and then the fourth one is a little bit closer to Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's able to like sort of change how it functions without it being like, what the fuck is going on in this video game? It's like, this is a different place. You have to approach it differently. So I found that interesting and like pretty enjoyable. So
cool.
Yeah, I think if you were going to play these 2 games, I think you don't necessarily need to play 7. There is like a recap that you can go through. But I think 8 is definitely the better of those like 2 of this like first person sort of Resident Evil game.
Good to know.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy it. It's overall like a pretty fun experience that like is almost demanding that you not take it that seriously, which I kind of appreciate.
It knows it's a video game.
In some ways, there's parts of it that don't, but like I think overall they're trying to emulate a kind of game and probably a kind of movie too. That isn't always super self-serious. There's parts of it that are, but like, you know, the action parts are pretty ridiculous. People are pretty quippy and like don't act like normal human beings would in any of these situations.
Yeah.
But it's fucking zombie shooting. Like, what do you want?
You shoot some zombies. You're going to have a good time.
So there's that video game. I have also been playing Silicon Dreams.
Silicon Dreams.
Are
you Elon Musk?
You are not Elon Musk. You are an android.
Whoa.
So Silicon Dreams is like this like indie game that came out recently. Silicon Dreams is made by, it appears, Clockwork Bird, which is a game company. Yeah, I think that's the case. It says the developers are Clockwork Bird, and then also lists James Patton, who I believe is also working at Clockwork Bird. So it looks like this is just kind of a smaller game development company, what looks to be 2 dudes. I assume there's probably more people involved with this, but that's what their website lists. So this is I don't know if interactive fiction is the right word, but it is an indie game where you are an android trying to assess if these other androids that you're interviewing need to be released, reconfigured, or decommissioned. That is sort of the main crux of these.
So you're interviewing androids as an android.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
You work for like a big, megacorp or whatever that is manufacturing androids, and you are trying to like suss out if one of them are defective or if they're working fine, or if they like essentially are so beyond repair that they need to be decommissioned. It plays out a lot like Papers, Please. I think they wear that influence definitely on their sleeve.
Sure.
And like, this is definitely my shit. Like, this is a kind of game that is right up my alley.
Chase Albee game.
Absolutely.
Game.
I really liked Papers, Please. The like big project that we did at school was like very much taking after that game, and so like it's pretty fun to play another game that's like in that genre. And like essentially the way that this plays out from level to level is that you are in direct contact with these other androids, and you're essentially asking them questions, and their I guess like vital signs are being monitored. There's like a some kind of device that monitors their feelings at any given moment, which is pretty fun. So you can ask like questions that will either trigger an angry response or a happy response or anything like that. And so the questions that you're being tasked with answering are all pretty interesting, right? Like you'll get your brief before and it'll say like, okay, here are the questions that we want answered by the end of this interview. It's like, can this android experience both joy and sadness at the same time? Or does this android experience 100% anger? Or something like that. Whoa. And so these interview questions that you'll ask them will trigger responses out of them.
So you're trying to provoke these androids.
In a way, I think there are more logistical questions of like, is this android defective in some way? And much like Papers, Please, your accuracy and your choice of action is reflective on you. Like you get a performance review, and it's like, hey, this android actually had this thing wrong with it, and you should have decommissioned it or something like that. And so I think that part of it is interesting. You get to experience this like push and pull of, maybe being more lenient on this android because they tell sort of a story that you empathize with, or you think like doesn't necessarily constitute something that should be decommissioned or whatever. But then also you have to suffer the consequences if you do that. Yeah. And obviously, the plot sort of evolves from there. So again,
you
very
killing sentient beings, Chase.
Pretty much, right? Like they literally have
some
feeling.
Westworld shit going on in here.
Yeah, it's fun, right? Like it's definitely got a Blade Runner-y sort of vibe to it.
Yeah.
But it's a good game. Like I said, this is right up my alley. I love these sort of experimental indie games where they're asking a question and responding to it with mechanics that are kind of non-typical. Just interviewing an android is a pretty fun swing for how to build a game. Yeah, it's not like the very first kind of this game. Like I said, Papers, Please has been around for a while, and then there are games that look like this, but this one sort of hit my radar and was pretty enjoyable. I think the writing's pretty good, and like the art style is interesting enough that it's like kind of keeps you there. So yeah, I just wanted to shout it out because I'm really enjoying the concept and sort of the game itself.
Good one.
Yeah, goody.
Indie pick of the week.
Indie pick of the week. What's up? And then my last game that I'm playing, also a pretty indie game. It's this game called Mass Effect.
Oh,
big video game, David.
Big.
My goodness. Grande sized video game.
Ooh, so good.
So the Legendary Edition of Mass Effect just came out. For those of you who might not know, Mass Effect is like a third person kind of shootery game, and a lot of it is like RPG based. There's a lot of like dialogue choices and RPG-ish stuff. It is a space game.
It's all in space with aliens.
Mamma mia, I love this shit.
Oh, mamma mia.
So when was it? I think Mass Effect 1 came out in like 2006, 2007, something like that. There was like, it was one of the games in like that era that like came out among like BioShock, Halo 2, Mass Effect, and like just an explosion of like very good video games right in there.
Very good like sci-fi games.
Yeah. And so I think Mass Effect 2, I'm pretty sure came out in 2010, and then 3 was a couple of years after that. I don't exactly remember how long it was. So yeah, I had played all of these games at least once back in the day, and they just put out a remastered version of all 3 of them together with all the DLC, which I'm thrilled about. I didn't play a lot of those, so I'm very stoked.
I didn't play any of the DLC, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters in there that I was not familiar with.
Yeah.
In 2 especially, the character select screen is gigantic.
Oh, they had a lot of DLC for number 2, didn't they?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
There's 3 or 4 characters that I just have not seen before that I'm running into.
becomes a power broker or something like that.
She comes, the Shadow Broker, in fact.
Shadow Broker, that's right.
Oh my God.
It's
so good.
We are number 1 in my heart always.
Yeah, I'll get there. There's I think there's a Prothean that you can recruit as one of your team members into as DLC. Yeah,
that's cool.
Seems like a pretty significant part of the story to put in DLC.
Yeah, they knew how to get you.
Yeah, I mean they did. So, Mass Effect. This game is so fucking good, David. Every one of them is unbelievably good.
Yeah, they just didn't miss with Mass Effect.
Really though, it's crazy.
Oh, I said that, and 1,000 million keyboards started typing furiously at me about the ending of Mass Effect 3, but we're gonna keep going.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going. I'll get to that once I beat the third one. I was definitely not on board with how much hate was coming out of the internet.
Yeah, I'm with you on
as
that
demonstrated by our entire podcast.
Yeah. We're on the same page.
Yeah. So I started with Mass Effect 1, played through that. It is not a particularly long game. If you do the main quest, you can get through it in about 20 hours. It's not huge.
No, it's not bad at all.
No. I did a little bit of the side quest, but kind of found it being a little bit repetitive. Some of them are very similar environments, sort of, not copy pasted, but reused a lot of the assets, which is fine, right? I have nothing against that, but I was I think I'm kind of good. So got through the majority of 1, or all of it, got through the main story of 1.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Jazz about this over the weekend because we were talking about this game, and I feel like I was just asleep at the wheel the last couple times I played Mass Effect 1.
Really?
There's so much story that I just didn't even get.
The story's so good.
It's so phenomenal. I definitely remember the A plot, right? All the stuff with Saren and the Reapers is very much front of mind, but they introduce so much lore about the Quarians and the Asari and shit like that, and the Turians and all that stuff.
Ooh, you took me to a place by saying all those different races right there. Man.
I'm not positive that I even went to talk to Tali in the first run through I did of this game.
Ever?
I must have said what's up, but I was just getting so much that I was I didn't I thought so. For background, one of the alien races, the Quarians, are this race of aliens that they were on a home planet for a while. They invented the Geth as a way to I think use as workers.
Yeah.
But they found out that when enough Geth gather in one place, they start to have this shared consciousness. And it's not necessarily that any individual Geth is a smart, highly intelligent being, but when they're all together, it sort of forms that.
Mm-hmm.
And so all at once they were oh shit, this is really bad. We need to shut them down before we make a bigger problem than we've already created. And the Geth were no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Look at me.
And the Quarians ended up losing that war with these robots, and as a result they had to
nomads.
They turned into these spacefaring folks who only live on these very isolated and highly they don't allow a lot of outsiders into these ships because they're all
xenophobic.
I think the main issue is that they're all very sensitive to disease. That's why they wear all of those huge armor suits and shit like that.
That's true. They're not really xenophobic. They're just cautious.
Yeah, they get sick very easily and die as a result. So it's just not safe for them to be outside of those suits.
Organic life forms, man.
Very squishy.
What can you do with them?
Can't live with them. Can't live without them. So yeah, missed all of that the first couple of times I played.
Dang.
I think it's in 3, you go to one of these ships and you talk with Tali's family, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I just was oh, they must have, that must have been an audio log or something like that. I'm sure they introduced this, but
you really missed the whole trilogy. You missed that aspect of the Quarians.
Until I was on the fucking ship.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Davey,
exactly.
where you been?
I know,
That was
dude.
such a big moment when you go onto the ship because you've never seen it before. You're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
going to be tight.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And like, and you know, if you haven't been building to that, it's like, well, I guess it's just a ship. But yeah, I think like
You were such a chud.
I was just going to
say.
I was going to talk about how this game is so fucking phenomenal because it allows for both the 16-year-old chud to play this game and just be like, I don't care, I just want to shoot the geth. And also the 30-year-old me who's like, damn, the Quarians are cool. That's a wild swing that they just did.
That's a cool story.
And it has room for both, which is just crazy. Like, usually these games, like, you only get one, right? Like, it's either fucking Call of Duty or, you know, Silicon Dreams or something like that. Like, it's either very story-oriented or not, but, like, good God, it has room for both of these. It's just an unbelievable game, Mass Effect. I, like, kind of forgot just how much I like this. Because I think I would probably list this as like some of the best video games that I've played.
Oh, for certain.
Yeah, and I don't really return to it all that often. I think I've replayed these games probably once each.
I don't think I've replayed any of them. I think it's going to have to be something I get and play through because, man.
It's worth it. They updated one a little bit to the point where it sort of sanded off the really harsh edges.
That's what I was hearing, that they streamlined it a little bit. Because I remember that one was closer to an RPG than a shooter.
It feels a lot more like Knights of the Old Republic, their previous game.
When are they going to remake that?
I know. I hope they do. Or just like make a third one. That'd be fucking rad.
That'd be cool too.
It feels a lot closer to that than like, I started playing 2, I think it was yesterday. And it's just like so immediately a leap forward compared to 1. And like, that's again, not to say that 1 is bad by any measure. It's still so good, even, you know, 15 years later. But like 2 is just such a step up.
2 is my favorite.
I think it is as well for me. I'll need to play 3 pretty much right after to compare. But like 2, it's definitely that like middle movie syndrome of like the threat is out there, but you don't necessarily need to solve it this game. And there's a lot of room for like kind of meandering and character development and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Also, it introduces Morden Solus, who I thought was in the first one, but isn't. He's in the second one.
Morden's a bro.
He's like one of the best characters in this game, dude. It's unbelievable. In a cast of already incredible characters, this dude is just unreal.
Rex was always my favorite.
Rex is great, and like his story too is just wild. Like, again, I missed so much of this, David. In like this no, I won't spoil that. In the first one, Rex is like just sort of a bounty hunter. Like he's going around collect, like he's a mercenary. And like you talk to him and like some of his side stories are crazy. Like he was hanging out on Tachanka for a little while.
Tachanka. Big Tachanka.
Big Tachanka. It's the Krogan homeworld, of which Rex is a member of that race. And he's talking about like, and essentially like his race of people are like mostly warrior based creatures. Like they live and die for glory, right? Like they're just big hulking dudes who like want to fight, and a lot of their culture is based around that.
Yeah, they're big like reptile creatures.
Yeah, and they're great too. Like it doesn't mean that they're like dumb or anything. It's just sort of centered around like that's a big part of their like structure. Anyway, you go through like his side story and like he's talking about like, oh yeah, back before this I was trying to unify the clans on my homeworld because we're like very few in numbered because of this thing called the genophage, which mostly made most of their newborns stillborns, which is like so brutal and so intense. And there's like a whole bunch of shit about that in the third one, which I won't go into quite yet, but it's so he's like, you know, I was trying to unify all the clans there. And, you know, one of the other leaders was really not okay with me doing that. We really came to blows over it. And, like, he doesn't even say it at first, but it's like his dad is the other, like, leader of these clans. And they eventually have to fight. And I think Rex kills him, if I remember correctly.
Ooh, I don't remember.
That part is a little fuzzy. I'm not sure if he actually did kill him or not, but they definitely fought in, like, a place that was holy for them, essentially.
Yeah, their
like,
holy battleground.
Yeah, no Krogan is supposed to fight there, essentially. And so like this whole story plays out about like him having the instinct to go and unify the clans and be a leader, but essentially being outcast from that group. And like just the writing there is unbelievable that they're able to do this.
So good. Did you miss that the first time you played it?
Absolutely missed it. No idea.
Oh my God.
There's like a whole side quest where you go retrieve like Rex's armor from like his grandpa,
Yeah.
Didn't do that at all.
Oh,
Totally
you missed
missed
so
it.
much of the good bits.
I know. Again, I think I was just like getting through the simplest, fastest dialogue I possibly could.
You were just all eyes on Ashley.
Dude, we have to talk about Ashley. It's a problem. I was such a chud, man. 16
Florida girl goes to space.
Dude, it's such a bummer. So Ashley is one of the human characters in this game that you recruit pretty early on. And like, she's very hesitant about other aliens to the point of like being pretty shitty about it.
Legitimately xenophobic.
Yeah. And like, I don't know what, the first time I was just like, ooh, yeah, Ashley, great. I'm very excited to romance her in this video game. Mm-hmm. And like, upon second, or I guess third viewing now, I'm like, oh my God, like,
yeah.
She's horrendous. She's got really ugly and disrespectful and hurtful beliefs about all these other aliens, like most of whom on the ship are totally cool, totally respectful, always level-headed, and like, you know, they may have problems, but rarely is there anything that like really comes to blows or anything.
Yeah, she's definitely the worst.
Yeah. So I can't believe that that's who I was just head over heels for the first playthrough. So now it's me and Liara. I'm romancing Liara. She's got a way more interesting story.
A man of culture, I see.
I've texted a few people about that, and that is the response I've gotten multiple times, is a man of culture.
I mean, she's high class, baby.
It's just so much more interesting. Like, the Asari are a way more fascinating people. Mm-hmm. Plus, like, they talk about, like, how you, like, mind meld with Asaris whenever you, like, form a bond with them.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. Love that. Anyway... So, yeah, Mass Effect. It's a phenomenal fucking video game. I will continue talking about it because I'm definitely going to keep playing it. Mm-hmm. I think the only other thing I wanted to mention about it was that it is very weird experiencing this game as like a throwback or a nostalgia trip. It does. I'm not sure if it's just because the game design it feels fairly modern to me, but I've seen people say like, oh, it's so nostalgic, like the music on the map, and so it just reminds me of the old days. I'm like, it doesn't feel that old to me, but I'm sure there's a kid who played this when they were 10, and now that they're 20, they're like, damn, this is an old game. Mm-hmm. And so it's very weird to play it under that context, but it's almost more interesting to me because I don't have the sort of just like deep nostalgia goggles that come with playing a game when you're 10. Like, yeah. I would have a hard time booting up Star Fox 64 and giving that any sort of critical eye because I just loved that game.
I'm a fox in space.
I am Fox McCloud, cool Fox Space Boy. Versus like this game came out when I was like not an adult, but not far from it. And so it's a lot more interesting to go back and just be able to look at the game design and look at like what they were saying and doing and sort of the themes of the series as a whole, which I haven't quite nailed on yet. So I do want to keep digging for that. Mm-hmm. What Mass Effect is saying. And I'm not exactly sure yet. It's a fucking phenomenal video game. I can't believe that it exists at all.
Yeah, it's really great. World's better place for it.
Seriously. Anyway, this will bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, David.
Which is?
It is the vehicle named the Mako.
The Mako. So good.
This is the weird big tank thing that you drive in Mass Effect 1.
The weird, it's kind of like a transport vehicle.
It's an all-terrain sort of thing.
All-terrain, yeah.
Except lava and water can't go in there.
Of course.
So in Mass Effect 1, there's a bunch of sections where you like essentially get to go like move through a vehicle and like go other places. There's like two situations where that comes up. Either it's like this pre-scripted like hallway essentially that you have to drive through to like get from one place to another, where there's like Geth between you and the other end of the hallway.
Yeah.
And those are fine. And then there's other sections where you just will like land on a planet and have to go like search and muck around and look at shit, but you're landing in your Mako. So there's that. It is pretty much universally panned as like the worst part of the video game.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily disagree. It is frustrating to control. It was more frustrating to control before. It's not perfect, and I probably wouldn't even say good now.
Yeah.
But they made it a little... Yeah, they made it a little bit heavier, so like you're not flipping all over the place. You still do that, but not quite as much. Mm-hmm. They gave it a boost so you can go a little bit faster, and you can heal yourself while you're moving, which was not a thing before. So some improvements around the edges. Anyway, I just love this big, beautiful bastard. It is a disgusting mechanic, totally unneeded and unnecessary. Like, they removed it in Mass Effect 2, And it's nearly like it is just as good and definitely better than Mass Effect 1.
Yeah. You just like probe and mine planets in Mass Effect 2, right?
Oh yeah, baby.
You probe and you mine.
I love the little mini game where you have to like go find the little vibration points on a planet. And it's like, ooh, lots of ore there, and send down a little drone. It's just it's so stupid. All the like, this is total sidebar from Podtimistic thing. All the little descriptions of the planets that you can pull up where it's
so
like,
detailed.
This planet was formed by this other collision of this astral body. It's 1.2 Earth years to orbit its local sun. I love it. I read every single one of these just like, ooh, that's a long day. That's a very long day on this planet. A lot of them are just like gas giants and shit like that, but there's other ones where like, there's a little colony in this one. It's like, oh, that's very cool. I love this very much. It makes it feel so much more real and interesting.
Adds to the depth of the world. The world building in those games is just top of the line.
Yeah, it's very good. So I love all of those. I love the fucking Mako. It's gross and doesn't control well, and it's doing the best it can. and I love that little that little bastard for it.
All right, good.
Do you have something fueling your sense of podtimism, David?
Yeah, it's a good animal companion.
Have we done this?
I don't know, maybe, but it's what I'm feeling. I don't know if it's animal companion, but a good dog in particular.
Sure enough. I think you've done animals in video games as both enemy, friend, and foe, but an animal companion's different than that.
It is.
And a good dog specifically. Who are you thinking?
Cerberus is the one that really made me start thinking about it, because I just loved petting him every single time I would go back to the House of Hades. Just got to give Cerberus a couple scratches.
Yeah, see what's up.
Go on with your time. It got me thinking about other good dogs in games.
What other good dogs are you thinking about?
Fable 2.
Yes, good dog.
Your dog.
Yeah.
Dog would like help you find things, and the dog got... Did the dog die at the end?
I think it did.
The dog died.
It's a cheap way of making you feel bad in a video game.
Remember him getting shot right in the face as he was trying to protect me pretty vividly.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if you'd like travel into the past and save him or something. Because at that point you like get taken to jail out in like this big spire in the ocean. I think that's what happens in that game.
Yeah, whoa, I do remember that.
You remember that
part of Fable? Yeah,
that part of Fable got a little wild.
That part did get really wild. There was this like humming. I don't know why that stands out to me. Like this big droning sound.
Humming. Yeah.
And like the prisoners were like, "Oh no, you just get used to it. It's part of you now." I don't know why that's so vivid.
Spooky.
Yeah, very scary. Yeah, so good dog and Fable.
Fallout 4.
I was just going to say Fallout. Fallout's got good dogs.
Fallout's got good dogs.
I think Earthbound has a pretty good dog. Or Mother 3, rather, has a very good dog.
Mutter?
Boney's a good dog.
Oh, D-Dog from Metal Gear Solid 5.
Sure enough, yeah.
Dog with an eye patch is pretty cool. Oh, the dog from Undertale. That's a good dog. That's the dog you like fight.
There's a lot of good dogs in Undertale. I love all the dog-based humor there.
It's pretty good. That game feels half dog to me.
And I'm totally cool with it.
Yeah.
It feels pretty good. Like all the fights where it's like you just have to like scratch the dog and they're like kind of ashamed that they have the reaction that they do. It's very good. Let me just give a shout out to Rush from Mega Man. Love that dog. It's
good
dog.
pooch.
Even a robot dog, they count. Hell yeah. Well, do you want to move on to our main thing?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So here we are.
We are. Wow.
Yeah, we're back.
We're here.
After such a long journey. Do you remember when our sort of in-between song played just now?
Oh, I was grooving.
We've been gone for so long. Whenever I try to conjure that song in my mind, I cannot do it.
Really?
I listen to it a lot and I just cannot hear it for whatever reason.
It's the power of music.
I can catch the vibe, but I don't know what it sounds like.
I do catch the vibe. It's true. It's a very vibey song.
What they don't tell you about podcasting though is whenever they do that in between music, we are sort of contained in a podcast prison for a little while. So you and I just woke up from our deep slumber.
It's like when Link took the Master Sword out from the Temple of Time in Ocarina.
Yeah, that's us.
And we were just in suspended animation until that little vignette of the song finished playing just now.
What? Pull the sword out.
And now we're grown-ass men.
Now I'm 30 years old. What the fuck? That's not cool.
No, my youth.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun getting old.
Now I can actually scream that and be serious about it.
Yeah, kind of, huh?
No, my youth.
No, my youth. Hey, speaking of youth, we're doing Good Games, the segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear.
Our top segment.
Our top seg. And it is the seg where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear.
Are we saying, is seg a thing now? Are we saying seg?
I'm not sure. It feels a little rough coming off my mouth, off my tongue.
What seg you feeling this week?
It feels a little disrespectful. I'm not exactly sure why.
You trying to do a seg with me?
You want to come and get segsy?
Yeah. Why don't you come over to my place? We'll talk about our segs.
Ugh, feels icky. I don't like this.
I got coffee on the stove. You want to talk about
hot pot?
Talk
I got
about
a hot
segs?
pot. Want to talk about this seg?
Seg.
It's the seg where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear. Gosh, all the things that we love about them, and then maybe do some other shit too. Yeah, hell yeah. We talk about video games podtimistically. You know the fucking vibe. Anyway, so we are going to talk about a video game. And I'm a little bit scared about what energy it's going to introduce into the podcast, because whenever we bring this series up, it's either going to explode the podcast and we will not be able to release it, or it'll light fire to whatever this episode is.
Hey, we're not talking about Nier Automata at the very least, so
no, thank God. Like the files will not be corrupted like they were.
So
Jesus,
scary!
I can't believe it.
It's so legitimately scary.
We recorded like 3 hours of Nier.
You had so many good insights into that game, and they're just forever lost
to the sands of podcast time.
They were too good. Yoko Taro said, "No.
He hacked into my computer.
Keep this to yourself, Chase Albee."
Anyway, so we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Z.
The Legacy of Goku.
For the Game Boy Advance. I feel like Dragon Ball Z, even if not mentioned directly, is always at the bottom of all of our conversations. It is the fire that fuels us.
Yeah, it's like what's the bottom of the food pyramid? Grains?
I think so.
It's the grains of our video game lives.
Yeah, it's a big bowl of rice or a piece of toast for breakfast for podcasting.
Piece of toast for breakfast. Well,
it is
a nice hearty bagel.
A nice hearty bagel, or if used incorrectly, irresponsibly, a big nasty pizza. It's going to make you real tired.
A big nasty cold piece of pizza.
It's going to make you, it tastes really good, but then in a half an hour, you're going to be like, no, why did I talk about Dragon Ball Z for 45 minutes?
This is a late day food, not a morning food. What have I done?
Anyway, so let me hit you with some hot stats about the Legacy of Goku. David.
Wait, so is Legacy of Goku cold morning pizza? Is that what you're saying?
I think all of Dragon Ball Z is cold morning pizza.
Checks out. Continue.
If you have like maybe one small slice, you're going to be okay. Like that's not necessarily a bad start to the day. But if you eat like your normal serving of pizza, it's going to be a fucking problem if you start your day like that.
Yeah, you're going to be sleeping soon.
Yeah. So yeah, let me hit you with these hot stats.
Hit me.
Hot stats. So this game came out May 14th of 2002 for the Game Boy Advance.
My goodness gracious.
Nearly 20 years old.
Quite an age. An aged game.
Yeah, it's geriatric video gaming. It was developed by this company called Webfoot Technologies, David.
Well, okay.
This was a weird bit of research. Was Webfoot. I went to their website. I went to the website of Webfoot, and it feels like a phishing attempt when I went there, that like they were maybe trying to steal some of the data that I have on my computer.
Just a light phishing attempt?
Just a little bit. Like maybe not going to steal my credit card info, but definitely wants my email.
All right.
Webfoot. That's a dunk and very rude. It just looks like a very old website.
Sure.
So here's the website for Webfoot Technologies.
Daffy Duck knockoff up there.
Yeah, this imagery is a little weird. So for reference, their header is a penguin, some sort of frog with a cape on, and maybe not Daffy Duck, but like Flaffy Truck is the name of this character.
Howard the Duck mixed with Daffy Duck? Or Donald Duck, sorry.
This is Greg the Duck.
Greg the Duck. Greg the Mallard.
So yeah, an interesting little video game. They got their hit featured game, 3D Frog Frenzy.
Oh, that must be the frog with the cape.
I think so. It appears to just be Frogger. Okay, so anyway, this is a weird video game company. One that I would sort of not expect to have developed Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku.
Yeah, I had no idea this was their pedigree.
Neither did I. Here's the Legacy of Goku games.
Dragon Ball Z Taiketsu?
Yep. And also Boo's Fury. And Legacy of Goku 2. Anyway, so yeah, they have such hits as 3D Dragon Duel, When Bugs Attack, or Bug Attack.
Mahjong Halloween. Games. Mahjong Easter.
Mahjong Halloween. A Mahjong for every holiday.
Mahjong Kittens.
Got all the Frog Frenzies. 3D Frog Frenzies. Frog Frenzy 2, of course.
Jumpy Bean, who could forget?
I would also like to show you the cover of Lady Cruncher, which is a very scary cover to a video game.
Oh, are you hungry? Spelled with just a capital R and a capital U. Hungry? That is terrifying.
I don't necessarily want to put this on our Twitter because I don't want to put this company on that much of blast, but like the cover of this video game is a harrowing sight.
This was around the time when people first started doing graphic design for like on computers, and it was just people were just trying to see what worked. That's what happened here.
Yeah, this is an experiment.
Why is there a fish on the side?
I don't know. There's also a rainbow melting into the water, which is like some real Dali shit going on.
Also, what's a cruncher, and why do big eyelashes and flowers make it Lady Cruncher? It's very not.
I don't know.
Not modern. Not what
it's
the
a really
anymore.
Scary visage.
It's terrifying. Lady Cruncher wants to eat your soul.
She absolutely does. She's saying, "Are you hungry?" to her the hive mind that she's controlling. There's also Anti-Opoly is a game that they developed. I just sort of want you to take a look at...
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Anti-Opoly.
It's definitely Monopoly, but like...
No, it's Chase.
It is Anti-Opoly. It literally says in the middle of the box, the Anti-Monopoly game.
Which is trademarked.
Yes.
Anti-Monopoly is trademarked.
Did they trademark Anti-Monopoly, or are they saying that Monopoly is trademarked?
I don't know. It's ambiguous. We need a lawyer because it is hyphened. So is anti-monopoly one word, or is it monopoly just the thing that is trademarked? Very surprised if they trademarked anti-monopoly.
I'm wondering if they were just like, hey, I don't necessarily know how to get around the legal issues here. Let's just say that monopoly is a product unto itself.
Also, having a trademark on the word monopoly is very funny.
Oh, yeah, goes a couple layers deep. They also developed the Biggest Loser game for 3DS.
They made a game?
They made a video game, which I am reluctant to call a video game.
For the 3DS or the DS?
No, sorry, the DS.
Okay. You can really experience the weight change in 3D.
So far as I can tell, the Biggest Loser video game is just a collection of stretches and workouts and also some recipes. You just sort of look at what to do.
Oh, this is not a good game.
It's not a video game, I don't think. I think these are a collection of images. Like there's no video game here.
But there's different profiles.
Yes. You can like go in and put your weight. It's like a tool, I guess, is maybe a more accurate thing.
Yeah,
you go in and put your weight.
Nintendo doing its thing.
Yeah, so there's that. There was one for the Wii that I think came out at the same time, which is a lot more like, okay, hold your Wiimote and do some exercises.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
This was just sort of like, here's how to do a squat and some animated images to show you how exactly to do that. So anyway, point being, an interesting background on this company.
Very interesting. Fascinating, really.
I don't know what compelled them to make all of those games and then do the Legacy of Goku.
Also, it feels like maybe they won like the licensing rights to Dragon Ball Z for like a couple of years and like a bet. Maybe they were playing Mahjong with some friends and they're just like, they were confident they were going to win, so they saw how much they could get them to bet. And they just took the Dragon Ball Z licensing video game rights right from out underneath them.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a confusing sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's that. I do have a review of the Legacy of Goku from our friends. The ones, the only, the kings have returned.
Is video?
It's Joe fucking Video. They're back.
Beautiful.
I guess they were here last week too, but still, they're
back again, just like Backstreet.
All right.
It's the most millennial conversation ever. God.
Do you remember the 90s? Okay, so
Christ.
I have taken the review that Joe Video did of Legacy of Goku, which was originally in French. I have run it through Google Translate through as many languages as I can find and then spat it back out in English to see what they have to say. Are you ready for their review, David?
Oh, I'm ready.
Joe Video said of Legacy of Goku, Fans of the series may be disappointed with classic AGBA lineup, but it is very interesting and interesting. Game Boy Advance's includes many role-playing games. If you do not like this game, will you apologize? And they gave this one a 7 out of 10. Joe didn't hate it. Joe was not bummed out about Legacy of Goku.
I mean, it's fair that if something is interesting, that if you don't like it, you should apologize.
You should apologize. Yeah, that's a request. Are you going to apologize for this fucking video game?
It is double interesting.
So yeah, there's that. Just like kind of a sidebar. This is probably the worst reviewed game that we've covered in Good Games.
Really?
Absolute dunks on this video game across the internet, David.
Oh no, really?
Holy shit. Yeah. X-Play gave it a 1 out of 5.
X-Play gave it a 1.
They did not like it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Here's another one from the outlet called Games Critics. They said, Dragon Ball Z, The Legacy of Goku is a bad game, period. In fact, it may be, the worst game of the year 2002.
Oh,
But the only redeeming quality it possesses is that it can be finished in well under 5 hours, making it so that the torture of playing the game itself is relatively short-lived. Goku and the Dragon Ball Z fans in general certainly deserve a better legacy than this. Absolute dunks.
Damn.
Jesus, dude.
With no regard for human life.
Absolutely
dunking on these guys.
Woke up and chose violence on that review, dude. Holy shit.
Dude, I love these games.
I know, I did too. Speaking of which, do you want to tell me what this video game is?
Yeah, so the one that we're talking about in particular is based off of a set of 2 different sagas in Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
Saiyan and the Frieza saga. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it follows the manga and the anime, their storyline.
Yeah.
And the game is a top-down action-adventure game with RPG elements, I would say, right?
Yeah.
So you go around, you punch wolves or Frieza henchmen. You slowly get stronger and level up by gaining XP from beating people, and you unlock certain moves and abilities along the way.
That's pretty. That's pretty much it.
Traversing around semi-open maps, kind of Zelda-esque, like Game Boy Zelda-esque.
Yeah, I've seen it compared to that a few times. That like it resembles a Zelda in the way that it's kind of structured. Not in the way that like each sort of area is like a tile that you can move through, but more just like the top-down sort of nature of the video game. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So we've got sort of an interesting situation between us here because you and I both have very fond memories of this game.
Yeah.
And the internet seems to have collectively said, this sucks, to this video game.
The internet has spoken.
I went back and played it a little bit today on that old RG351P. Mm-hmm. It's not a wonderful video game. And so like...
It's a very nice thing to say.
And so I'm trying to navigate the wading pool of Podtimists to figure out like what about this game was great, because it like I do want to represent what was good about it, because I think it's selling it a little bit short to just say that like this was just a shitty game.
Sure.
So do you want to start the gush or should I?
I'll start the gush.
Start the gush, David. Turn on the faucet. Start that gush.
So what I liked about the game is that it very much followed the formula of the show, which I loved as a child, which was introduce the bad guys. Goku's too weak. Goku trains really hard. Goku wins.
Yeah.
It did a good job of that.
Yeah.
Because you have to really kind of grind to get strong enough to beat some of these bosses and get to some of these spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I remember of being very pleased with as a child.
Yeah.
Also, just I felt it did capture the show when I was, at least through my child eyes. I wouldn't say it really made you feel like Goku, because you definitely like Goku would not die to a wolf.
You sure wouldn't.
It was not gonna. It's not gonna happen. But it lets you fly around. It lets you do a Kamehameha, and it lets you go Super Saiyan.
That is all true.
Which was everything I wanted as a kid, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really what I loved about it. You know, lets you go into that universe and experience it in a more interactive way.
Yeah, I wrote down both of those things, both two, I think. So the first one being that there's this like strong motif in Dragon Ball Z of like getting stronger and better as a way of overcoming any challenge.
Pushing past your limits, going beyond.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is a intoxicating storyline for like a young boy or just like a young person. I shouldn't limit it to boys, but as a young boy, that was intoxicating to me. Yeah. It's like definitely a power fantasy, right?
Yep.
Like if you just get strong enough, you can beat your problems up. But I think that as a video game goes, it represented that arc really well, like you were saying. Like you feel it when you're under-leveled, when you're getting your ass kicked.
You definitely feel it. Yeah.
I don't know if it's hard for me to tell just kind of on the replay that I had today, and then I can't remember quite as well when I was younger, but whenever you got up one level, it felt pretty significant. When you were fighting the wolves and you would get like leveled up by even just one, you would do a punch and it would be like, holy shit, that was pretty significant compared to what I was
blasted a hole through this wolf. My God.
Yeah, and so I think it did a very good job of representing what leveling up feels like in the show. Again, that's, it's not something that's in real life, or not something that you could easily represent in human world, but it felt as good to do it in the video game. Maybe not as good, but close to as good to do it in the video game as it did to watch it happen in the show, where like it's spread over 15 episodes and Goku's been screaming for 10 of them. And suddenly he comes out and beats the shit out of whoever the guy who was just the strongest dude in the room just a few episodes ago.
He wasn't even powering up. He was just screaming.
Just for funsies.
Just for fun.
So yeah, I think it does represent that in like video game form pretty well.
Yeah.
I think I'm surprised that there aren't just like more, like the Dragon Ball Z is so often represented as a fighting game. I get why, right? Like, that's the direct sort of thing to do. I'm surprised that there's not more RPGs about this. You got it a little bit with Kakarot that came out last year, and you got it a little bit in that one because like there was leveling up in there, and you did kind of have to grind to go like get stronger. But yeah, it's just among the many video game releases of Dragon Ball Z, it is the RPG aspects of it are not quite as common, which is I find sort of interesting. And then to your point about it being a fairly accurate representation of the show, also wrote that down, and I found this sort of part of it really interesting because I realized that if I wanted to watch Dragon Ball Z now, even as like a 10-year-old, I could probably go do that. Like that is not necessarily a particularly difficult thing to do with the internet, but
no,
back in the day, and at least when this was popular, like it was kind of hard to get a hold of Dragon Ball Z, or I think anime at large.
Had to wait for Toonami, baby.
Yeah, to like so your options were pretty limited, right? Like it was hope that Toonami is airing it, hope that you are able to catch it on Toonami frequently enough to know what's going on, be able to be around when it's airing on Toonami, whether that's after school or late night or whatever, or somehow dig up and find a DVD or a VHS of Dragon Ball Z and watch those. But like still not easy access to this stuff. And that like definitely goes for a lot of those like kind of mid 2000s like anime stuff, because anime was just not quite as commonplace as it would be, even 2 or 3 years after that.
Yep.
I watched this YouTube video about how Toonami aired Dragon Ball Z, and it was like very segmented and in pieces at first. Like they didn't have like, I think it was they hadn't dubbed the Cell Saga yet. And so like they only had the Frieza, or up to the Frieza Saga, and like some of the Saiyan Saga, and then they like went back and like redubbed it with like the people who I think are more common now in the shows.
Yeah, there's so many different dubs.
And like it was just an access issue. Like we just didn't really have good access to this show that was like very compelling. Anyway, point being that there were a lot of these kinds of video games where the promise was, hey, we've got the whole thing here if you want to experience the story. And that as a kid was like, oh shit, I might not be able to actually like learn what's going on as a whole, rather than just like hearing about the Saiyan Saga and being like, I don't know, I saw some of that.
Yeah, I saw like an episode here or there, but I had no idea what the order is.
Yeah, like who the fuck is Raditz? So I think that for that reason, and I found myself when I was younger coming back to these kinds of games where it's like, here's the story of something that you don't necessarily have a lot of access to. And I think Dragon Ball Z specifically, I kept coming back to it really frequently as a way to sort of like see like, is this the correct version of the story? Or like, is this going to give me more information?
Yeah.
So yeah, I also really enjoyed that they took you from Saiyan all the way through Frieza. It was great. It was great.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
And they gave you Super Saiyan, which was really what everybody wanted.
That's what we're living for, baby. I'm still waiting for it to happen.
One of these days. And it can't happen if you're past 30. Sorry, Chase.
Oh, fuck. Did you ever try and go Super Saiyan as a child?
Oh, of course. How could anybody who's watched Dragon Ball Z as a kid say they didn't?
You gotta try.
At least try once.
Because what if it works?
I felt like I was going to do it, but I probably was just about to bust a blood vessel in my head.
You're about to say busting. It's like, oh,
huh? That's the
Oh my
closest
God.
thing that any of us can get to Super Saiyan. This is getting very blue very quickly, Chase.
It sure is. Let's see. Yeah, that's all I had written down for my gushing.
Yeah, that's fair.
The rest of it was definitely interesting to revisit. Like I was saying, I think that control wise, it's aged pretty rough. Like just literally getting around the map is really kind of tough. You don't necessarily know when you are or aren't hitting a wolf. Like you just like clip through each other.
The hit
and, like,
detection.
yeah,
Suspect.
I think it's the character to character detection. You can kind of just walk through each other, and like if you're in the wolf, it doesn't hit correctly. Like it's not obvious.
You gotta
that
be inside the wolf.
Oh, Goku, into this. So, and like, I guess, it's a 20-year-old game. How hard can you really be on it? But I think if I was trying to be podtimistic about the stuff that hasn't aged well, I would sort of just say that like it is not ignorable, but something that is like I'm able to sort of look past and enjoy the good stuff about it still. It is still very fun to level up. It is still very fun to like play through the story of these games. But I also totally understand why somebody would be like, "Oh, this is pretty rough to play through."
Yeah, if you're not a Dragon Ball Z fan or you didn't grow up playing this game, you probably are okay skipping.
Yeah.
Probably
yeah.
okay skipping. It's not going to change your mind or really make any difference in your life, I wouldn't think at this point. There's much better games out there.
Yeah, I think they're much better games that are specifically this. Like,
yeah,
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is this, but just very good comparatively. So, yeah, I think as we're approaching getting up to nearly 100 episodes, I'm still trying to sort of like wrestle with how do we talk about games that I still definitely appreciate a lot about them, but I don't know that I would necessarily say, hey, you should go play this. Because like,
yeah,
I wouldn't say that about this game, but I do want to be able to extract like what was unique and cool about this one.
It was Dragon Ball Z, and I was just a young child and I needed more Dragon Ball Z. It does a good enough job of making you feel like you are getting stronger and facing tough foes, but it doesn't really do anything new or inventive or unique.
Yeah, I think like when we talk about like the mechanics that are really interesting and really cool, I try and sort of view them just very specifically rather than as the whole piece of art. Like if we just looked at Legacy of Goku as a whole, it's like, well, yeah, that's sort of a bummer of a game. But if you look at tying the motifs of the show to the mechanics of the game, that is a really cool part of it. Like literally engaging with the story on a mechanical level is really cool. And something that like you can sort of pull that little tiny Dragon Ball out of the video game and collect it on itself.
4-star ball?
That's probably the 4-star ball. And you can sort of hold on to that one. That's sort of, whole reason we do this is just to highlight the very cool things in otherwise pretty normal games.
I like it.
So anyway, that's the thesis of our fucking podcast, David.
That's our podcast.
That's it. That's the thing
we
do.
like video games, and we like saying what we like about them.
Because they're all very cool and all offer something neat, even the ones that age kind of poorly.
Honestly, probably one of the better things about this game that now I think about is that it was portable.
Yeah, totally. You could take it wherever.
I could take Goku wherever I want. That was great. He was my buddy. Why are you laughing at that? What's so funny about that?
The phrase, I can take Goku wherever I want, tickled me in a place that I was not expecting. I don't know why.
I can take Goku wherever I want.
Just imagine a 10-year-old Peruvian boy holding the big, meaty hand of Goku. I can take him wherever I want to.
Going to get waffles.
I absolutely remember playing this video game at Lions, the breakfast place.
There you go. You took Goku to get breakfast.
I took Goku anywhere. Okay, cool. Do you have anything else that you want to say about the Legacy of Goku?
No, I'm good.
Sick.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
We're on Twitter.
We are.
At Podtimism.
That is true.
Let us know what you like about Dragon Ball Z or don't like about Dragon Ball Z. The
Which
Legacy
is
of Goku.
Probably an innumerable amount of things.
It's a lot. Also, let me know why you also agree that the ending of Mass Effect 3 is the best ending of any video game ever.
True fact.
True fact.
Ish.
True fact. Hitting the hornet's nest here.
You're going down a road I can't follow, Anakin. Oh, wait, no, Obi didn't say that. I think Amidala did.
Oh, yeah, she did say that. She was crying.
Because she was like mad and Obi and him were about to fight.
Yeah. I'm not going to take you down this road with me. I don't have strong feelings about the ending of Mass Effect 3, except
it was fine.
I have feelings about other people's feelings. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, no, me too.
We have a Gmail at vgpodtimism@gmail.com. And if you really want to help us out, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcasting app you use.
I think Apple Podcasts might be the only one that does reviews. I don't think Spotify does.
I think there's some that it helps if you like subscribe or
Yes.
like give it a thumbs up or something, or like favorite it or something.
Yeah, something in there.
Yeah, something like that.
Whichever of those you have access to or don't, it's also okay.
Yeah, or do whatever you want. I'm not your dad. Can't tell you what to do.
You're not my dad?
No, Goku's your dad.
I thought Goku was my brother.
Dad. It's a very weird situation.
You're not my dad?
No, buddy.
Oh, man.
I know. It's okay. We can go to Lions and we can talk it out.
It didn't make any sense that you and I were the same age. In fact, that you were younger than I was, but damn it.
By a significant margin. Not super significant, but significant enough.
To the point where it wouldn't make a lot of sense biologically, but I just never questioned
Not at all. I mean, I could legally become your dad and I could adopt you if you want.
It's a powerful sort of idea.
Can you adopt someone that's older than you?
Ain't no age on dad,
Like,
buddy.
could I adopt someone who's 45?
It's a dangerous aura. Again, we're approaching the end of the 60s here. It's introduced a very interesting sort of energy here.
Any lawyers listening, let us know at Podtimists at Twitter.
Can I adopt my dad?
I mean, that's kind of what all children are destined to do, essentially, right?
Is to legally adopt dad.
Maybe not legally, but you kind of become...
No, legally. Legally.
I'm going to make you my son, Dad.
What the fuck is going on?
We're getting off the rails. Yeah. Lastly, thank you for spending your ear minutes with us. We appreciate it. So you can hear us talking about sons making power plays and making their dads their sons.
Yeah. Can you imagine? You just got served.
I'm your grandkids now. Your brother.
Yes, thank you for spending your ear minutes with us. We really appreciate you being here. We love and support you in all your endeavors.
Mm-hmm. Chase, do you have any gaming wisdom for us this week?
Adopt your dad.
Become
Why not? Your dad's dad.
Become your dad's dad.
The dad's so nice you made it twice? No, that doesn't make any sense. The dad's so
dirty.
Nice. The dad's so good. The dad's so good. Adopt you should.
Oh, there you go. You cracked the code. You cracked the code.
Crack the dad code.
The dad's so good. Adopt your dad you should. And now we're sounding like Yoda. Adopt your dad you should. That's my best Yoda impersonation. Sorry, James, if you're still listening.
You had the like meter and sort of the structure right, so I feel like that's a pretty serviceable.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna attempt like anything better than that.
It's a lot. I feel like the like impersonations of some characters are like sort of approachable. A Yoda's like you really got to commit.
Yoda, you're because everyone knows what Yoda sounds like.
Yeah.
So you're really confident in yourself if you're out in public impersonating Yoda.
You're just throwing around Jerry Seinfeld impersonations, then that's no problem.
Did you stop yourself from saying it correctly and say Seinfeld instead?
I didn't want to canonically break the idea that I can't say it.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Anyway, so yeah, gaming wisdom, adopt your fucking dad.
Adopt your
End of podcast.
Dad. All right.
End of podcast.
See ya. Have a good week.